New details have emerged in the past 2 hours today, November the 12th, 2025, about the $2,000 tariff checks that we're hearing are going to be on the way. Take a look at the latest headlines with me so that way you can see it for yourself. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent hints at the income limits on Trump's $2,000 tariff checks. Now, in addition to that, you can see Bessent says Americans are poised for a rebound. You are going to feel it. In addition to that, take a look at this. Bessent says substantial moves coming to cut U.S. prices of coffee and other items. This was updated 2 hours ago, and I've got the video footage for you. We're actually going to play it here. You're going to see him talking about the checks. He says, yes, they are working on $2,000 checks to clarify, and also he says that the income limits, they're thinking about $100,000. He said there's going to be some big announcements coming in the coming days, and he also hints at when these things will go into effect. But let me just play this quick clip for you. Then we're going to dive into the details of the articles and the video footage, the whole clip. I'm going to play it for you. It's about 9 minutes long, so you can see it for yourself. But let's just take a look here at this section just for a second.
Make it shorter. He said, hey, I'm thinking about $2,000 stimulus checks coming from the tariffs to everybody, and 50-year mortgages. First off, on the $2,000 stimulus checks, isn't that like using your overdraft to pay off your credit cards? Or isn't it like, taking money from a credit card and paying off your bills? Do you think that that's the most financially responsible thing to do?
Well, there are a lot of options here. The president's talking about a $2,000 rebate, and that would be for families making less than, say,
okay,
$100,000.
Have you decided on that yet?
We haven't. It's in discussion. But the other thing to think about, Brian, is that what we did with the tax bill is actually financing the president's no tax on tips over time. Social Security and the big refunds you're going to see are a result of that. So that's another payment to the American people.
So there you have it, you guys. So we heard him say that they are taking that into consideration. They don't have the limits yet. They don't have all the details ironed out, but they're thinking that the limit for the $2,000 check is going to be for people who make less than $100,000 a year. Now, I'm going to dive into the details of these articles, as we're also going to hear more coming out from him. I'm going to play the full clip as he's saying in the coming days, there is going to be some announcements coming, and you are going to feel it. Americans are going to feel a substantial increase and impact to the economy that is going to help out a lot of people. So like I said, this coming out, new information today, November the 12th, 2025. Just to clarify, this video footage that was released by Fox came out 3 hours ago. Articles coming out in just the past 2 hours today. So this is all new information. They're discussing arrival times and qualifications for the $2,000 checks. And he said, it is not solidified yet, so I just want to make that very clear. So this is the latest new information coming out on this. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Now, let me know your thoughts. In the past couple of days, we've been seeing checks coming up quite a bit here. Do you think we're going to have checks coming? If you think so, put yes. If you think no, put no in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. But right now, we're hearing every single day new information coming out, and it's looking like they're going this route. Not that this is a good idea, not that we're thinking about it. We heard Trump say, you're going to get a check. And now we're hearing Scott Bessent, who originally said, I'm not sure what the president's talking about. Maybe he's talking about no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. Now he is saying, no, the president is thinking about a check in addition to the no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. So we're going to see where we go from here, if we're going to be getting checks or not, regardless of whether they come or not. I'll be sure to give you the latest updates unfolding so that way you know exactly what is taking place. So I'm going to dive into the video footage so you can see it for yourself. I also hyperlinked all the articles that have come out in the past 2 hours. I'm going to be referencing. They're linked in the description. I cite all the sources, put it on the screen, read right from it, play the video footage for you so that way you can see it for yourself. Know, rest assured that this is the latest. And if you appreciate that, do me a favor. Before we dive in, take a quick second and just click that thumbs up like button. Helps spread this out further across the YouTube platform while we're live. And in addition to that, to stay up to date, it's totally free. Why not? Hit that subscribe button, pretty much doing daily video updates now because there is a lot going on right now. And if you missed my videos yesterday, I did an update on the checks as well with the new information coming out, and also about the 8 individuals, the suspects that were arrested for planning attacks here in the United States. They were calling it pumpkin attacks that they were planning for Halloween, and now they're hearing a lot more people are being discovered and arrested in the U.S. as well. So if you missed that, check it out right after this one. But with that being said, like button, subscribe. Let's take a look at this video footage. I'll play for you the whole clip, and then we're going to dive into the details of what they're saying is coming. So let me rewind this, and let's start it from the beginning.
All right, we are back. With the CR passing through the Senate, tonight the House votes on a bill to reopen the government. However, the economic toll of the last 42 days will remain, with the CBO office estimating the U.S. has lost as much as $14 billion permanently due to the shutdown. Joining us now is a man who's got to balance our checkbook. He's our Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent. Mr. Secretary, always great to see you.
Brian, good to see you.
How do we handle this type of financial loss, which has nothing to do with the American people, but we're on the hook for it?
Well, Brian, it's the Democrats tried to stop President Trump. They couldn't stop him in the courts. They couldn't stop him with the mainstream media. So they shut down the government. And they've taken the mask off. Ezra Klein in the New York Times yesterday actually said this was never about health care. This was about President Trump and his totalitarianism. So they were willing to cost the government tens of billions of dollars. The economy was in a great place, 3.8% growth last quarter, tracking very well this time. I think we're going to accelerate into 2026, but they've caused a hiccup here.
When you talk about the whole thing from the off-year elections was affordability. That was the words people like Zohran Mamdani used, but their ways of solving that are very different from the way you would do it. So when you look at affordability now and you go grocery shopping, for example, what products are you working on bringing down? We know that certain products are down, certain up. Like, for example, coffee. The president says, I'm going to lower the rates, tariff rates on Brazil and Vietnam and other places to try to bring the price of coffee down. What else are you doing?
Well, it's tough to do a lot of specific things, but I can tell you, Brian, you're going to see some substantial announcements over the next couple of days in terms of things we don't grow here in the United States. Coffee being one of them. Bananas, other fruits, things like that. So that will bring the prices down very quickly. And Brian, we inherited this affordability mess. It was the worst inflation 40, 50 years, one of the worst in the nation's history. And affordability has 2 components. So there's the price level, and then there is income level. And what happened under Biden was the cumulative inflation, stated inflation, CPI, was 23%. But what happened to working Americans, their basket of goods and services, food, insurance, auto payments, was up in the 30s. So they felt a real gigantic differential there. And what we are going to do is, by bringing back high-paying manufacturing jobs, President Trump is going to do what he did in the first term, and that is for hourly workers and working Americans to have real wage increases. So, Brian, imagine 2 lines. There is the inflation line. We've got that under control. It's leveled out. That is going to start turning down. Then there's the income line, which under Biden, because so many of the jobs were government jobs, you can't get real wage growth from a government job. Real wages are going to increase. Right. And I would expect in the first quarter, second quarter of next year, those 2 lines are going to cross, and the American people are going to start feeling better. But look, this has been a tough period.
Which you feel like only 9 months in you inherited, but there are people that say the numbers are good on some areas, but I don't feel it. What do you say to those people who say I don't feel it? Be patient.
I say that you are going to feel it. That I was just down in my hometown of Charleston, South Carolina, on Friday, and this new Boeing plant is opening up. That's 1,000 new jobs that the president has brought back. I went to a rare earth plant up in Sumter, South Carolina, 800 construction jobs, 300 permanent jobs that they think could become 3,000 permanent jobs. And the great part of the story there is those were Caterpillar workers who had been laid off. Thanks to President Trump, a new factory has moved in. So as we bring these trillions of dollars of investment into the U.S., they're all starting to break ground now. And look, I would have loved to be able to snap my fingers, have these facilities going. It takes time. We got the tax bill passed on July 4th, which gives huge incentives to come to the U.S., build your factory, expense it immediately, and create American jobs. And I think 2026 is going to be a blockbuster year.
All right. So for now, be patient. The president yesterday.
Brian, if I make one more point, I'm also the IRS commissioner. So what I can see is that with the president's signature campaign promises, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, auto deductibility of loans if you buy an American car, Americans didn't change their withholding for 2025.
Right.
So we're going to see substantial refunds for working families at the beginning, in the first quarter of 25. They'll change their withholding at the beginning of the year, and that will be a natural, the real wage growth.
So two things the president has thrown out, and I'll just tell you what he said to make it shorter. He said, hey, I'm thinking about $2,000 stimulus checks coming from the tariffs to everybody and 50-year mortgages. First off, on the $2,000 stimulus checks, isn't that like using your overdraft to pay off your credit cards? Or isn't it like, taking money from a credit card and paying off your bills? Do you think that that's the most financially responsible thing to do?
Well, there are a lot of options here. The president's talking about a $2,000 rebate, and that would be for families making less than, say, $100,000.
Have you decided on that yet?
We haven't. It's in discussion. But the other thing to think about, Brian, is that what we did with the tax bill is actually financing the president's no tax on tips, overtime, Social Security, and the big refunds you're going to see are a result of that. So that's another payment to the American people. And then the other thing you're going to see in the middle of the year are these Trump accounts. Every child born retroactively to January 1, but for the next 3 years, is going to get a $1,000 account that's going to be invested in the U.S. stock market. So that's another $1,000 for working families.
So yesterday, Laura Ingraham aired her interview from a couple of days ago, and they kind of clashed a little on H-1B visas, which you upped the fee to $100,000. I want you to watch this and tell me what you think.
Does that mean the H-1B visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration? Because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent.
We have plenty of talented people here.
No, you don't.
We don't have talented people here?
No, you don't have certain talents, and people have to learn. You can't take people off an unemployment line and say, I'm going to put you into a factory where we're going to make missiles.
Where do you stand, Mr. Secretary?
Brian, for years, 20, 30 years, we have offshored precision manufacturing jobs. And the president's point here is, we can't snap our fingers and say, you're going to learn how to build ships overnight. We want to bring semiconductor industry back to the U.S. There are going to be big facilities in Arizona. So I think the president's vision here is to bring in overseas workers where these jobs went.
Who have skills.
Who have the skills, 3, 5, 7 years to train the U.S. workers. Then they can go home. The U.S. workers fully take over.
So do you understand the concern that people have? Hey, an American could have that job. Why you give it to a guy from
But an
India or
American
China?
can't have that job.
So
because,
it's specific skills.
Because we haven't built ships in the U.S. for years. We haven't built semiconductors. So this idea of overseas partners coming in, teaching American workers, then returning home, that's a home run.
Gotcha. Mr. Secretary, thanks so much. I know you have a busy day ahead, and I know that a lot of pressure on your shoulders to be doing a great job. Thanks so much.
There you have it, you guys. Now, again, that was today, Wednesday, November the 12th, 2025, about 4 hours ago now. And so that is the breaking news that's coming out here, is that he is coming out and saying details about these $2,000 tariff checks. Now, you heard him say, is this set yet? And he said, no, this is not set, but we're looking at a limit of who's going to qualify for these of $100,000 a person. And also, we have heard him say that in the coming days, there's going to be announcements. Everyone's going to feel the impacts, substantial impacts to the economy that will be applied in early 2026. We're going to take a look at these articles here, the details of it, but that is when they are saying these things are going to be unfolding and coming. So first, let's take a look at this article that came out just 2 hours ago as well. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent hints at income limit on Trump's $2,000 checks. Do you like that 100K income limit? Yes or no? Let me know your thoughts. Do you think that that is good? Should it be a different limit? If you like it, put yes. If you don't like it, put no. Let me know your thoughts down below. Now, let's take a look at this. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent revealed that the Trump administration has discussed restricting the president's proposed $2,000 tariff dividend to families making less than six figures. Well, there are a lot of options here that the president's talking about. A $2,000 rebate, and those, that would be for families making less than, say, $100,000. Bessent told Fox and Friends on Wednesday the video footage that you just saw. We haven't, Bessent clarified when asked if Trump administration had decided on that limit. It's in discussion. So they are saying that the checks are going to happen, but they are not set yet on what those limits will be. So again, this is not something that they are saying we're not sure if we're going to do it or not. They're saying we're going to do this. We just haven't worked out all the details yet. Man, so a lot of people saying, wow, they are saying that this is going to happen. Now, a lot of people raising questions about this because doesn't this need to be approved by Congress through legislation? The president can't issue out new funds unless he's going to reallocate existing funds that have a similar purpose. We've seen this done before through executive order, but we will see. Now, reading on, it says last week, following a brutal hearing over his trafficking and reciprocal tariffs before the Supreme Court, President Trump floated a $2,000 dividend, but did not elaborate on specifics on how that would work. Bessent later told ABC this week that the dividend could come in a lot of forms and that it could be just the tax decreases that we are seeing. But Donald Trump came out and clarified on Truth Social, no, that is not what I meant. What I meant was everybody's going to get a check, $2,000 a person. And now we saw that video clip coming out just a couple hours ago of Bessent also saying that you're going to be feeling the impacts very soon. And he is talking about a check. We haven't worked out all the details yet. Here's another one coming out, updated 2 hours ago. Bessent says substantial moves coming to cut the U.S. prices of coffee and other items. And we heard him say that you're going to feel the impacts. There's going to be some announcements coming. Bessent says there's no decision yet on the $2,000 rebate checks. Trump told Fox News that U.S. would lower tariffs on coffee. Bessent says other tax measures will boost income as well. Now, this coming out today, a couple hours ago, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said on Wednesday today, he said Americans would see substantial announcements in the coming days aimed at lowering the prices of products like coffee, bananas, and other items grown in the U.S. So we're hearing in the coming days, there's going to be some big announcements, and this is also being said alongside the $2,000 checks. Bessent told the Fox News program Fox and Friends that the announcements, which he did not define, would bring down prices very quickly, adding that people would start feeling better about the economy in the first half of 2026. Do you think that they are going to improve things? Let me know your thoughts. Scott Bessent, Donald Trump, do you think they're going to be able to pull this off? If you think so, put yes. If you think no, put no. Let me know your thoughts. And maybe you actually support Trump and you think that he is trying, but do you think he's going to be able to convince the Democrats in Congress to get on board with a $2,000 check? Is he going to be able to adjust prices and make things happen? Do you think that they are going to be able to help us out? Yes, no. Let me know your thoughts down below. Now, reading on. The article says coffee prices fell sharply on Wednesday today amid signs that the U.S. it will cut selected import tariffs, potentially easing supply tightness in the world's top consuming country. U.S. President Donald Trump and other top officials have focused on reducing the cost of living after a string of defeats for Republican candidates in last week's elections, where Democrats made affordability a key issue. Now, Democratic wins in New Jersey, New York, and Virginia, driven in part by cost of living concerns, revealed concerns among voters over ongoing inflation, which economists say has been fueled in part by high import tariffs imposed by Trump. So the Democrats are saying that the inflation that you are feeling is because of the tariffs. They are blaming Donald Trump. After the election defeats, Trump once again floated the prospect of giving household rebate checks funded by tariffs, aka those $2,000 checks. And he floated the idea of a 50-year mortgage as well. Besant, asked about those ideas, said a $2,000 rebate check proposed by Trump would be for those earning less than $100,000 per year. But no decision has been made. It's in discussion, he said. Now, just to clarify, it wasn't clear to me in the interview if he was saying that it wasn't set yet regarding the income limit or whether or not there would be checks. What Fox and Friends said was that they're going to send a check, but it's not clear yet whether or not they have that $100,000 income limit. Now, right here, we're reading Reuters, and they've interpreted it that he is saying they're not clear yet as to whether or not there will be a check. We will see. I will keep you up to date. It's in discussion, he said. Besant did not address the 50-year mortgage idea, which has led to backlash from conservative allies, business leaders, and lawmakers who have questioned the efficacy of such a plan. Now, lowering tariffs. Trump, in an interview aired on Fox News, the Ingram Angle show on yesterday, said the U.S. would lower some tariffs on coffee imports, repeating comments that he first made in late October during his trip to Asia. Coffee roasters in the U.S., they have been plowing through their stockpile as they await the outcome of the ongoing U.S.-Brazil trade negotiations. Brazilian coffee, which accounts for 1/3 of the beans consumed in the United States, has been priced out of that market by the 50% import tariff that Trump imposed back in August. Asked about Trump's comments about lowering tariffs on coffee products producers in Vietnam and Brazil, Besant said, "It's tough to do a lot of specific things, but I can tell you, you're going to see some specific announcements in the coming days in terms of things that we don't grow here in the United States, such as coffee being one of them, bananas, other fruits, things like that." He gave no further details. The U.S. grows bananas in Hawaii and Florida, but commercial production is limited, and most bananas are imported from countries where labor is cheaper and land costs are lower. Now, Besant said other measures already taken by the Trump administration, including reducing taxes on overtime and tips, would kick in early next year, as well as moves to boost domestic manufacturing through foreign investments. So again, arrival times, they're saying in the next couple of days, there's going to be big announcements, and a lot of the economic impacts you are going to feel are going to be in the first quarter of 2026. And we're hearing about the checks. People are asking, when is it going to be announced? What is going to be the arrival time? They are suggesting this same thing, maybe in the next couple of days. Hopefully, now that the government is open, we're going to see this push for checks arrival in the first quarter of 2026. Let me know, would you like the sound of that? Would you like to see a check in 2026? If yes, put yes. If no, put no. Maybe you'd like to see it now. Hey, get me a check right now. Let me know your thoughts. Or would you be okay with a check of $2,000, but in the first quarter of 2026, which is the first 3 months of the year? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Now, real wages are going to increase, Besant said. I would expect in the first quarter, the second quarter of next year, Americans are going to start feeling better. Many households will see large tax refunds next year given changes in tax laws allowing deductions for car loans and ending taxes on Social Security benefits for some seniors. Parents of children born after December 31st of 2024 and before January 1st of 2029 could also receive a $1,000 initial deposit if they opened a Trump account, Besant said. So there you have it, you guys. That was the interview that we just saw earlier today, just a couple of hours ago, as Besant came out and he talked about the checks. He talked about the tariffs. He talked about the state of the economy. And for those of you hopping on a little bit late, I'll go ahead and play the segment on the checks one more time so that way you can hear it for yourself as we're hearing Details are starting to emerge about the arrival time of various economic plans and the qualifications, the income limit for the $2,000 check, which they're saying is coming. They said they haven't worked out the details yet. It's not solidified, but they are planning on if you make $100,000 a year or less, you will get the full $2,000 check. Take a look.
President yesterday.
Brian, if I make one more point, I'm also the IRS commissioner. So what I can see is that with the president's signature campaign promises, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, auto deductibility of loans if you buy an American car, Americans didn't change their withholding for 2025.
Right.
So we're going to see substantial refunds for working families at the beginning, in the first quarter of 25. They'll change their withholding at the beginning of the year, and that will be a natural, the real wage growth.
So two things the president has thrown out, and I'll just tell you what he said to make it shorter. He said, hey, I'm thinking about $2,000 stimulus checks coming from the tariffs to everybody and 50-year mortgages. First off, on the $2,000 stimulus checks, isn't that like using your overdraft to pay off your credit cards? Or isn't it like, taking money from a credit card and paying off your bills? Do you think that that's the most financially responsible thing to do?
Well, there are a lot of options here. The president's talking about a $2,000 rebate, and that would be for families making less than, say, $100,000.
All right, have you decided on that yet?
We haven't. We haven't. It's in discussion. But the other thing to think about, Brian, is that what we did with the tax bill
there you have
is
it, guys.
actually
So
financing.
It's in discussion. They're working on it. And they're saying if you make less than $100,000 a year, that you're in line to get a $2,000 check. Now, this coming out today, November the 12th, 2025, just a couple of hours ago. Today, Wednesday, and we're going to see where we go from here. If we're going to get those $2,000 checks, I'll be sure to let you know here on the channel. If they don't send them out, I'll be sure to let you know here on the channel. Just like we had heard before about the Doge dividends, they were saying everybody should get a check because of the clawbacks. Those clawbacks didn't materialize. They were saying it would equate to potentially a $5,000 check. We didn't see that. Then we saw a couple months ago, President Donald Trump came out and said it would be nice to send out a little check of $1,000 to $2,000 to various households because of the tariffs. But now we're hearing him say, you're gonna get a check. And we will see, because again, Congress has to approve checks. However, if the president can say through executive order that he is reallocating existing funds for a similar purpose, the tariffs, well, we've seen that done before in the past during the pandemic, where we saw him reallocate existing FEMA funds and sent it out for those unemployment enhancements. So it has been done before. The legality of it is it's very delicate. He can't issue new funds, but he could reallocate existing funds for similar causes. So we will see. Maybe you'll be able to get Congress on board to just pass it through. Maybe you'll have to do an executive order. But right now, Trump is saying they're planning on sending out $2,000 checks. We will see. I will keep you guys up to date here on the channel so you get the latest information. And again, if you appreciate that, do me a favor, take a quick second if you haven't done so yet. Hit that thumbs up like button for me. It just helps this live stream spread out across the YouTube platform. Subscribe to stay up to date so that way, as I do these daily updates, whatever comes out, you'll be notified right away. And again, thank you so much for joining me on the channel. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care, you guys. God bless.